What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Tuesday, February 4th, 2025 edition of the Daily Energy Newsbeat Stand-Up. Here are today's top headlines. First up, tariffs on oil are a major problem for U.S. refiners. We'll dive into that, but yes, absolutely not great. Next up, USAID tried to block DOGE audit. This has a little bit to do with energy and more to do with the fact that we're funding coups around the world. So we'll dive into all that. Next up, the geopolitics and energy potential of Greenland. Finally, Zelensky has no idea where most of its $200 billion in U.S. aid went. I wish that was a mistake. Finally, Shell still expects mid-year launch for LNG Canada. Stu will then toss it with me. I will quickly cover what happened in the oil and gas markets, mainly the kind of the fallout from yay tariffs, no tariffs, lots going on there. Stu will update us. And then we have two earnings come from the big boys, Chevron and Exxon, drop their earnings. Pretty much the same message, record growth, record production. But we will cover all that and a bag of chips, folks. As always, I am Michael Tanner, joined by Stuart Turley, who tomorrow we will get to do a live in-person podcast of it won't be live, but we will be in person. I have a feeling we'll have a special guest, a.k.a. Ray Trevino, on the show because we're all jacking up in the same Airbnb, but it's going to be great. I am super excited for Nate. If you are down there, come by booth 3117. We're going to be doing podcasts throughout the whole day, Wednesday, Thursday, a little bit of Friday. We look forward to seeing you. But Stu, where do you want to begin this show?
Hey, let's start with tariffs on oil are a major problem for U.S. refiners. Michael, first, this is breaking news. As we are recording this, Trudeau called up and said, I give in. So he is already putting $1 billion on the border so he can secure the Canadian border. So the tariffs, and Trump said, well, we're going to go ahead and reduce the tariffs. Now, the 10% on Canadian oil imports doesn't break the U.S. refining, but it would add to the cost of the refiners in the Midwest and West Coast through a weakened Canadian dollar. So it is important, and I'm glad that we're not going to have to, but just because they're a chowderhead and they say we're going to put people on the border and we're going to stop fentanyl from coming into the United States doesn't mean that they're going to do a sleight of hand. So this is an important point. Also, Michael, if you look at the Canadian pipelines map, Energy East was canceled by the green energy policy folks in Canada in Trudeau's cabinet. And that could have saved them this whole problem because right now they don't have a way to transport anything unless it's on U.S. pipelines.
Oh.
So it would have been a major, you take a look at 2% of our GDP is Canada that we actually buy from Canada. They actually tariff our agricultural products and our cars and everything else. So everybody's over here going, ooh, tariffs are bad. Every other country in the world tariffs the United States. This is an equaling balance of what President Trump is doing. I'm all in. Let's go to the next story here. What a bunch of knuckleheads. USAID tried to block DOGE audit. You can't buy this kind of entertainment. Why does this matter to energy? You ask, Michael. Go ahead, ask me that.
Why does this matter to energy?
USAID was the one that actually gave Hunter Biden and Burisma unlimited loans for drilling in Ukraine. Where did all this come from? You're about to see all of this pile out in the record keeping. They did not want this single thing coming out. So it is absolutely abysmal. No,
Yes.
They tried to cover up their corruption.
Okay. I have a little bit more of a nuanced take on this.
Okay.
From the standpoint of, I've never been a fan of USAID. I've heard it, if you would all hang out with Stuart Turley, you understand the deep state, you understand, where all of the meddling that we do overseas. Okay.
Right.
A lot of these guys they are behind coups in Africa. They're behind government takeovers in Singapore. But Elon Musk is an unelected official, and the Constitution clearly gives Congress the power of the purse. And so while I am in favor of the moves he is making because they align with myself, align with my political beliefs, I personally believe what he is doing, running around to all of, as an unelected bureaucrat, unelected, you might ask. He's no, time. Let me finish this. Nobody elected him. You casted a vote for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. You didn't cast a vote for Elon Musk. No.
I'm going to give you my opinion.
No.
I'm going to give you my opinion when I'm done. When you're done, I'm going to give you my opinion.
Okay. If this was George Soros running around doing this for Kamala Harris, you would think what's going on right now is a coup in the United States. That's a fact. So the fact that Elon Musk is doing this gives me cause for pause to say, is this precedent that is being set by unelected bureaucrats running around? Yes, shut off USAID. I'm all for it. But the Constitution clearly gives that authority to Congress. And if we can read it in the Constitution. So while I am in favor of what's going on here, what this does is chill my spine a little bit, because this eventually, like Chevron, remember the Chevron deference that was passed by Republicans in the Reagan administration, who thought giving authority to institutions that they control would be a great thing. Well, guess what happened? Then for 20 years, Chevron deference was used by, guess who? Democrats who've been in charge for the last 20 years, basically, give or take a little bit of George Bush. You could argue whether or not he was a Republican or not. But the point is, this does give me a little bit of a scare when it comes to precedent, and the fact that if George Soros was running around in the same capacity that Elon Musk is, running Kamala Harris's Department of Government Efficiency, we would be on this show screaming from the high heavens about a government coup. So okay. I'm just nervous.
Let me say, okay, your point is very valid, but here's the difference. They tried to hide and not allow Elon Musk in. That's first off.
Because technically the U.S. Congress appropriated money to them, which is given to them by the Constitution.
But they also have been funneling, none of this was also being funneled under terrorism, and they were going to terrorist other folks. So no, the Constitution, you're mixing two different things.
I don't disagree with what you're saying.
The money was not given to USAID under certain bills. There is a big money hole that's going on here.
I agree with on USAID. It's like, does it matter the end goal or the path you take to get there? You learn that in Sunday school. Does it matter about how you get to a right conclusion matter the path? I'm with you. USAID should be gone. We should defund
any payments in the last 40 fucking years.
Okay. I agree with you. I agree with you on USAID. My question was, if George Soros was doing this to...
He has been.
Well, so then two wrongs make a right? I'm just nervous because this power is going to come back to bite us. I don't mind Elon Musk coming in and implementing new software systems to speed up the government. My issue is in 15 years, when the Democrats eventually take over, because it's all cycles. This isn't just going to be Trump's not going to be in power for the next 20 years.
No, he's not.
So what's going to happen when...
You're off base, in my opinion. And I think that you're being an ideologue on this when you sit there and you take a look at the trillions of dollars that have been stolen from the American people over the last 40 years. That's where it is now coming to light, and we're about to see how far bad it has gotten. What President Trump has also done today was set up a sovereign wealth fund for infrastructure and going through this. You're going to see some new things coming around the corner to protect against this coming back around.
All for sovereign wealth fund. Yes, I'm an ideal. So I like the Constitution. It's just crazy. I know I'm crazy. I know it's just mind blowing. Follow the Constitution, but we've done enough of this. This just gives me a little bit of a chill.
You and Ilhan Omar said today that we are now in a Constitution disaster right now. This woman is an illegal alien in the United States that married her brother, and then you and her are sounding the same. So I'm all in. Let's go to the next story.
Sorry,
geopolitics and the energy potential in Greenland. Greenland has now got a bunch of more stuff going on, even though there's what, 4 people up there, Michael? And so there's 57,000 people up there. Denmark has now reached back out because they're all of a sudden going, wait a minute, there's a lot more to this. Russia is the world's Greenland is the world's largest island lying off the North Atlantic. There's lots of hydroelectric, there's lots of other stuff in there, critical minerals. And this is really, really cool. Greenland is home to quantities of oil and gas, the Arctic Circle. This is huge. And I think that when you take this win, this is going to end up being a big win, especially with President Trump winning in Panama. You know, they folded yesterday. So let's go to the next story here. Zelensky has no idea where most of the 200 billion went in US aid. Oh, yeah, I wonder why that is. Kyiv received far less than the amount repeatedly cited by President Trump and other officials. We're all in here for 200 billion more than the EU. I mean, are we that stupid? President Trump said last month. We spent over 200 billion. Michael, do you know what President Trump just did today?
No, what'd he do?
He basically is telling Ukraine, we want all your minerals because all the money that we gave you, we now own all your minerals. Now, is that robbery? I don't know, but I thought it was kind of funny. So we'll see if that one goes through. Let's go to the next story. Shell expects mid-year launch for LNG Canada. This is really exciting. And when you take a look at the LNG market around the world, Shell's finance chief, Sanad Gorman, said, analyst, fourth quarter earnings call Thursday that LNG Canada is making great progress and hoping to move forward. This is going to be a big boon for California or for Canada because they are actually able to ship to the Asian market where this is coming out of. This is pretty exciting for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think most countries and companies are shifting towards an LNG first model, especially here in the United States, when you're going to start seeing, in my opinion, an easier time to build a lot of this. It is crazy. It is one of the largest private investments in Canadian history. It's going to do 14 million tons per year of LNG that are able to be exported, and plans to double the capacity through 28. So I mean, it is kind of insane, Stu, what they're trying to do.
I think it's great if they do it now. The sad part is most of that is going to go to the sovereign folks over there in the eastern part of Canada, and it's going to be a very big boon for a revenue stream that they're going to just basically steal. You got to love it.
You got to love it. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump over and pay the bills. As always, guys, thank you for checking us out here on the world's greatest website, .energynewsbeat.com, the best place for all your energy and oil and gas news. Stu and the team do a tremendous job making sure that website stays up to speed, everything you need to know to be the tip of the spear when it comes to the energy and the oil and gas business. We are also proud to announce new sponsor of the show, Reese Energy Consulting. We absolutely love those people. Steve Reese is one of the foremost expert in the business. He has an excellent staff there that will help you out with all your oil and gas marketing needs. You're getting shorted from your purchaser on gas. I promise you that. I promise you, you're leaving money on the table not working with Steve Reese and Reese Energy Consulting. They can go out, they can renegotiate all of your first purchaser contract and make sure you get better deals. They also do excellent midstream consulting for all these new LNG facilities getting built. Steve Reese and Reese Energy Consulting is the team I would want to call. Give them a call, guys. Check them out, reeseenergyconsulting.com. We will have all of their links in the description below. You can also check out that description for all links to the timestamps, links to the articles you're about to hear. Subscribe to us on Substack. That's the best way to support the show. Stu has been dropping some tremendous paid-for-only articles there. We really appreciate all the hard work him and the team have put into that. It's a great resource for everything. And as always, guys, and if you need more information on how to get involved and become Billy Bob Thornton from Landmen and finally invest in oil and gas, go ahead and hit that description below. Invest in oil.energynewsbeat.com, and you will find everything out to do that. And ultimately, guys, you will be Billy Bob Thornton from Landman. We're going to be seeing a lot of those people down at NAPE, Stu. I can't reiterate. We are excited to be down there. Booth 3117. Come check us out. We'll be shooting our podcast there. We'll be shooting the Crude Truth there. David Blackman's going to be relaunching his podcast. Who all do you have lined up, Stu?
Oh, it's kind of crazy. Let me get to the calendar here, and we have a ton of folks here. We've got Steve Reese.
Yes.
We have Steve Kennard. We have Doug Sandridge. We have Rachel with W Energy. We have Jeff Krimmel.
Love Jeff.
We love Jeff. So it's going to be just pretty crazy.
It's going to be crazy. Check us out there again, booth 3117, guys. Go ahead and check us out there. All right, let's go ahead and look at some of the markets. A really interesting day. Markets were up, then they were down, or markets started down, actually rose day intraday, but day over day lost about 3/4 of a percentage point. Nasdaq down a little bit more. A lot to do with the on again, off again tariffs that happened. Stu mentioned a little bit about that. 2 and 10-year yields. The spread was actually like 0.8%. So 2 years up 1 full percentage points. 10-year yields down 0.2 of a percentage point. Dollar index basically flat. Bitcoin was down all the way below 95,000. Has since risen above 101, or about 4.5 percentage points, to about $101,000. Crude oil was down day over day, mainly again due to the fact of these tariffs. 73.16 was the settle price, up 0.8 of a percentage point intraday, or since the closing here at about noon. Brent oil basically flat, 75.85. Natural gas, big spike, up 10 percentage points, or about 30 cents, up to $3.35, Stu. So it was a pretty unbelievable day. Again, the on again, off again tariffs that we did see from Mexico is a little bit crazy. You know, we both saw as Canada and Mexico both kind of called back their tariffs that they had put on there. Mexico agreed to reinforce its northern border in order to stem the flow of both illegals, but I think also what he's worried about is the drugs. There's a lot of fentanyl comes through the border there. I think a lot of this tariffs remains to be seen on the kind of the fallout from the economy. Most of the countries that we're putting tariffs on, we actually buy more goods from them than we sell to them. So from the standpoint of who pays the tariff, well, the exporter pays the tariff. So if Canada is exporting more than we're exporting to them on a net basis, Canada's paying. Now, from China, this is where I slightly disagree on the China tariff, or excuse me, I agree on the China tariff. I agree on New Mexico, the Mexico tariff and the Canadian tariff. The problem is we export a lot of goods to a lot of other countries. So us having exports on other things could get interesting. We do about 3.8 billion of imports of Canadian crude oil, so they clearly didn't want that. A 25% spread put on that. And especially coming out of Canada, it's that heavier crude grade, which we need to fill up our refineries, which is part of the reason why they're so fairly interesting there. It'd be interesting to see how the markets digest some of this. We saw Chevron and Exxon earnings. Nothing really to talk about other than both had really record earnings. On Chevron's side, $3.2 billion of earnings. Adjusted earnings came in at just under $3.6 billion. Total earnings for total year 24 was at 17.6 million barrels or $1 billion, excuse me. That's actually down from 2023, which was at 21.3 billion. But the majority of that was made up on they actually increased upstream revenue from 17.4 billion for the total year up to 18.6. They saw about a $5 billion drop in downstream earnings, which is again has a lot to do with where gas prices are on some other stuff. There is they spent about 4.3 billion in capital in the third quarter compared to 4.1 in Q3. In 2023, they spent about 15.8 billion in capital, and in 2024, they spent about 16.4 billion. In terms of production growth, that $16 billion just raised production from 3.1 million barrels, a whopping 200,000 BOE a day to 3.3 million per day. So it's a lot of billions to raise it such a small amount. I always love looking at those numbers. ExxonMobil, on the other hand, pretty great. Their U.S. earnings were down technically year over year by about 2.3 billion, 33.6 billion. Full year 2024 and full year 2023 was 36.8 billion. Again, spending about 1.2 more billion a year for a slight production increase, which I always find hilarious. It goes to show you guys how difficult it is to drill good quality productive wells in the United States. You're always fighting decline curves, so it's fairly fascinating there. But you guys can check all that out on energynewsbeat.com, which is the best place for all of your earnings stuff. Stu, what did I miss, Stu? What shall people be worried about?
Well, the Canadian tariffs, President Trump is going to review those again in 30 days to make sure that the border is secure. And so I think we're going to be buckling up. You're going to see some more financial changes, and you're going to find out how corrupt our government really was.
It's going to be crazy, guys. Again, we look forward to seeing everybody at NAPE. But with that, we will let you guys get out of here, get back to work. Appreciate you guys, as always. For Stuart Turley, I'm Elon Omar. We will see you guys tomorrow for another show.